Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fandomology, where fandoms collide. And we have a um, bit of a different stream for you guys tonight. I know that you probably have read the title by now, and you're probably thinking to yourself that Trek stuff is usually supposed to be on Tuesday, and you're right. However, I wanted to do something a little special tonight, and we're going to focus on the times that Star Trek, because it's Halloween, we're going to focus on the times that Star Trek went spooky. So I do have a guest, maybe two, that are going to be appearing. So until they show, we're going to do some music. So let me just real quick get the stream link sent out to everyone, and we will get started. All right, let's see. One more, and then we're good. All right. Let's see. Let me get my Tonewood amp turned on here. Plenty of batteries. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Let's do this one. I've gotta tell you what I'm feeling inside. Hold on. Gotta get the words. All right, here we go. I've gotta tell you what I'm feeling inside. I could lie to myself, but it's true. There's no denying when I look in your eyes. Girl, I'm out of my head over you. And I've lived so long believing all of is blind. But everything about you is telling me this time it's forever. This time I know, and there's no doubt in my mind. Forever. Until my life is through, girl, I'll be loving you forever. I hear the echo of a promise I've made. When you're strong, you can stand on your own. Those words grow distant as I look in your face. No, I don't want to go it alone. I never thought I'd lay my heart on the line. But everything about you is telling me this time it's forever. This time I know, and there's no doubt in my mind. Forever. Until my life is through, girl, I'll be loving you forever. Yeah. I see my future when I look in your eyes. It took your love to make my heart come alive. 'Cause I live my life believing all love is blind. But everything about you is telling me this time it's forever. This time I know, and there's no doubt in my mind. Forever. Until my life is through, girl, I'll be loving you forever. Oh, it's forever. This time I know, and there's no doubt in my mind. Forever. Until my life is through, girl, I'll be loving you forever. All right. And of course, hello in the chat to Crit, who says spooky skeletons. Yep. And old man lost his net. That's okay, man. As soon as you can get it back up, we will get started. All right. Give me one quick second here. I got to do something. I got to put my peppermint oil down my throat, and I don't want y'all to see me with my finger halfway in my mouth. Peppermint oil, as I've said before, is a good way, if you are a singer, to open up your throat and make sure that you can actually sing. All right, let's see. What's next? Let's see. Let's do... Ooh, here's one I ain't done in forever. This one's for Phil, and it is by his absolute favorite country singer ever, John Denver. And no, it is not Country Roads. This is Calypso. To sail on a dream, on a crystal clear ocean, to ride on the crest of the wild raging storm, to work in the service of life and the living, in search of the answers to questions unknown, to be part of the movement, part of the growing, part of beginning, to understand. I, Calypso, the places you've been to, the things that you've shown us, the stories you tell. I, Calypso, I sing to your spirit, the men who have served you so long and so well. Like the dolphin who guides you, you bring us beside you to light up the darkness and show us the way. For though we are strangers in your silent world, to live on the land we must learn from the sea. To be true as the tide, free as a wind swell, joyful and loving in letting it be. I, Calypso, the places you've been to, the things that you've shown us, the stories you tell. I, Calypso, I sing to your spirit, the men who have served you so long and so well. I, Calypso, the places you've been to, the things that you've shown us, the stories you tell. I, Calypso, I sing to your spirit, the men who have served you so long and so well. And hello in the chat says, sing us a song, Mr. Guitar Man. Thank you. And Old Man is back online. Awesome. I sent you the link, like I said, in your Twitter DMs, so you should be able to get on from there. We'll do one more song while we wait for Old Man to join us. And I'll probably open up the panel at some point too. If anyone else wants to come on here and talk about the topic that we'll be discussing, you're certainly welcome to. It'll be, like I said, the times that Trek went spooky. All right. I'll end it with, I started with a Kiss song. I'll end it with a Kiss song. Out on the street for a living, pictures only begun. Got you under their thumb. Hit it! Pictures only begun. Your day is sorrow and madness. Got you under their thumb. Ooh, black diamond. Ooh, black diamond. Darkness will fall on the city. It seems to follow you too. And though you don't ask for pity, there's nothing you can do, no. Ooh, black diamond. Ooh, black diamond. Street for a living, pictures only begun. Your day is sorrow and madness, got you under their thumb, yeah. Ooh, black diamond, yeah, yeah. Ooh, black diamond. All right. I botched the ending of that one, but that is okay. My guest is here, and we are going to go ahead and get into the meat of the stream. Let me get my headphones on. So everyone, please welcome someone that I always love talking to. I'm serious. It's always a good conversation anytime I'm able to talk to this guy, whether on my stream or someone else's. Please welcome, always a good conversation anytime I'm able to talk to this guy, whether on my stream or someone else's. Can you hear me, bud? Welcome.
Oh, me?
I think he's having connection issues. While he's getting that figured out, let me welcome in another guest that just now surprised me. Please welcome. Actually, hold on. I gotta do the special intro. I have not done this for him in a while, but attention, everyone. Admiral on deck. Nerdporeal Lifeform. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Hold on a second. Hold on. I just realized the issues on my end. Whoops. All right, I should be able to hear you guys now. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I have something going on in half an hour, so I got some time to give you. I know you asked, so I'm here. So let's talk some Trek.
Awesome. So, as you guys saw in the title, the point of tonight is to talk about the different times that Star Trek has went spooky. So the quote-unquote scary or otherwise disturbing times that they've tackled some pretty uncomfortable topics. And what started this idea for me is honestly just randomly watching some episodes of the original series one night because I couldn't sleep. And I thought that I would go ahead and watch Cat's Paw, since it's Halloween. And that got me a kick on going and looking for the other episodes of the original series and a little bit of Next Generation too, that were, at least by my standards, perhaps more scary or tackled scary concepts than others. And so that's what we're going to get into tonight. We're going to talk about what does it look like when Star Trek goes scary, and what times do they try it and they succeed, and what times do they try it and they fail. So Nerdporeal, I know you've only got a half hour, so what is some of your favorite scary Star Trek moments?
Well, I mean, the probably one of the creepiest moments was when I was watching it was the scene where Uhura sees a random crewman, a very handsome, dashing dude. He's probably 6'2" and really tall. And we find out that, we know that he is one of the forms of the M113 creature, the salt vampire.
I didn't even think about that one.
So that whole episode, the very first episode of Star Trek was a slasher episode. I mean,
Yeah,
like
it was.
the salt creature killed four people in that episode. So and this was before red shirts were a thing, but in the very beginning, you know, Kirk and McCoy and a third dude, you know, crewman
Green.
crewman Darnell.
Oh,
Darnell's
Darnell, yeah.
so Darnell's the one that sees. So they all look at at Nancy Crater, and Nancy. So McCoy sees her as the way she looked when she was like 22, 23 years old. Kirk sees her and she's got some gray hair going, you know. And then Darnell sees someone totally different, a blonde that he left behind on. And I remember this because I've seen the episode too many times. Wrigley's Pleasure Planet, kind of like
Little less mouth, Darnell.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I thought that was great, and yeah. So Darnell was the first victim of being being a landing party person with Kirk and McCoy. you go on a away mission with them. You're more likely to die.
Exactly. But
if you got a red shirt, you're a target.
Exactly. And the green part where he's following Yeoman Rand, and then he goes into Sulu's quarters, and the plant just starts freaking out. So the plant's like a hand puppet, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the plant starts screaming, and then retreats into its little pot because of the creature and all that. That whole scene was creepy as hell. Like the way the creature reacts to the salt and everything is just. Yeah, so that is a spooky, scary Star Trek for me.
Absolutely. Old man, what about you? What would you say your favorite scary moment from Star Trek is?
Well, the first year of Star Trek was filled with, shall we say, unusual shows. And some of them actually were written by some people that were involved with Psycho.
Okay.
Yes,
Robert
really.
Bloch.
Yes. So, you know, you got Enemy Within. You know, you got troubles with transporters that really mess you up.
Mm-hmm.
How about that one? Go in there and come out two different people. Cat's Paw, which you were talking about, that is really mega Halloween. You got ghosts, you got goblins, you got everything in there.
Yes.
Which is
where No Man Has Gone Before. That little thing with ESP and all that.
Oh yeah, that's another one I didn't even think about.
Especially when he opens his eyes for the first time, and you see the silver eyes, and then they play that eerie theme, and then it dips to black.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say hello to Don Ranger Power, who says, Morphin Network Raid. Hello, Paul, Old Man, Nurpoil, and all. And happy National Trick or Treat Day. Hope everyone is well, despite the passing of Matthew Perry. Indeed.
Yes.
Matthew Perry of Friends, for those that don't know, recently passed away, I believe today, actually, from an apparent drowning.
Mm-hmm. He passed away in, what's his name? Richard Mull from Night Court. He passed away today, too.
Yeah.
That was a loss.
Memory eternal. Too. Yeah, memory eternal.
Exactly.
You know,
so
I saw movies with Richard Mull with his hair on.
Oh wow,
he was in a lot of like shark. I saw him in a random shark movie one day. But yeah, he's not bald. He's not bald in real life. He has hair.
No, he shaved it for the role.
Yeah,
he shaved it for some role. When Night Court came around, they told him to leave him bald.
Yeah,
don't grow it back.
Mm-hmm.
And you want one that's another one that was a little freaky one?
Yeah.
How about Charlie X?
I was too busy just comparing Charlie to one of my coworkers at the time to be scared by that one. But I can see it. You know, this teen clearly has no control of himself, and he has godlike powers.
Old man, I gotta ask you this. I think that a lot of the ideas from a lot of these early season Star Trek episodes were borrowed heavily from the Twilight Zone, because I'm sure you remember there was a Twilight Zone episode where there's this one kid that has all power and all the adults are scared of him, and
Yes.
I think that's kind of where Charlie X comes from. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yes, I believe you're right. I'm not going to argue that one bit. I think you definitely got the inspiration for Charlie X.
And there was
I
like
can
another
definitely see
episode
that.
where Vera Miles and she's at a train station and she accidentally encounters her alternate self from an alternate reality or something. And I'm sure that's where I'm sure that's kind of where they initially got the idea for having the mirror universe episodes, the mirror, or the or let's even go further. Let's even go further back. Alternative Factor, the one where you have Lazarus and that little ship that acts as a corridor between the matter universe and the antimatter universe.
Yeah.
And whenever they come into contact, the entire universe in a wacky special effect winks out.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to remember, this is back when special effects sucked because Star Trek didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And when they did, they used it on maybe 1 or 2 or 3 episodes. Like the Corbomite maneuver took so long for them to air that episode because of all the optical effects, because they made their own that ship, the Sirius. And then they created the little cube that spins and follows them. I mean, that's all optical work that took a long time for them to put into the episode.
Way back, bring up his name, the gentleman has passed away a long time ago, and most people wouldn't even remember him. But he had an absolutely unbelievable show of humor. He spent his entire budget on a 1-minute gag.
And what gag was this?
It was where a piano and somebody else all collapsed. Ayla, right out of Abbott and Costello type thing. Or not Abbott and Costello, but,
Okay. So
Laurel.
as far as when Trek goes scary, like I said, the different episodes that I watched that to me were at least, if not intended to be scary, kind of dealt with scary subjects. Obviously Cat's Paw, but Wolf in the Fold, and The Children Shall Lead, which, funny enough, I didn't hate as much this time.
Whom God Destroy?
Yeah, Whom Gods Destroy. Dagger of the Mind, that was one that could be construed as a scary thing, because imagine being trapped in, well, kind of Whom Gods Destroy takes a different spin on it, but imagine being trapped in a penal colony and having your mind taken away from you by some madman.
Mad scientist, yep, the mad scientist trope.
Oh,
exactly.
And what was that one again about the insane asylum?
Whom Gods Destroy.
Yeah, where the loonies took over.
Exactly, and
that's been done before. They ripped that off from someone else from way back.
So, one thing that really always made me wonder, especially with the Trek episodes. Real quick, Black Dragon says, "Are you doing the event in STO?" Not yet. I'll probably do that tonight after the stream. Which, by the way, dude, if you want to come on here, I'll send you the link too. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and open the panel just in case anyone wants to come in. But one thing that I've always wondered is the episodes of Star Trek, whether it's TOS or TNG or any other show that are intentionally trying to be scary, never seem to be that popular. Why do you guys think that is? Like Cat's Paw, I know when we went through it, Nerdtorial, we said that was like really, really cheesy. And then you've got And the Children Shall Lead, which is just outright terrible.
Yeah.
And then in TNG, the episode Genesis, which a lot of people consider that like the single worst or one of the worst TNG episodes ever. So why do the scary ones come flat?
You're looking at it with a 21st century mind. What you see. When we watched it back then, you had to get up, adjust the rabbit ears on the TV, turn the channel and volume by hand, sit down and watch. You're watching in black and white. Oh wow, man! You got a color TV. Oh my God, you're unbelievable. We take things a whole lot differently today than we did back then.
Right.
And there's no way in the world I can put your mind in the mind of somebody back then when the Cat's Paw came on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a nightmare for people that saw it. And at the end, of course, when they see the two dead little chickens on the floor, everybody had a laugh.
Right. Yep. That's pretty much what they were. They were dead little chicken puppets.
Yeah, that's how well I remembered, folks. After all these years, and I've seen it just once. I've seen that just once, original.
Mm-hmm.
It's still in my mind all these years later. You look at the date back then and the date today, and it's still in my mind today. Personally, I myself might have taken up the offer there with the lady. Because, boy, I mean, that was not bad.
I believe it. And hello, Black Dragon. How you doing today, man?
Oh, not too bad today.
That's good.
Work's been kind of hectic the last week.
I gotcha. So as you saw, we're talking about the different times that Star Trek, whether intentional or unintentional, went spooky. And right now, what we're discussing is why the ones that intentionally go spooky, at least these days, seem to not be so popular. Why do you think that is?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm thinking it has something to do with when you want to be scared, you want to watch a horror movie. Sci-fi is not necessarily supposed to be horror, but futuristic.
Right.
You do have certain movies out there that incorporate the two, and those are actually popular, such as there was a movie that was called Event Horizon.
Oh, I heard about that one.
And it's the mix
terrifying.
of both. It really is. It's really, really spooky. And then you've got the Alien franchise, but those were designed that way. Star Trek is supposed to be more about a utopian future to where these things aren't supposed to exist anymore.
Right.
What about Forbidden Planet? Because Forbidden Planet it comes off as science fiction. It looked like a horror because of the way the robot was carrying what's her name on the box.
Yeah, on the box.
And then what's funny is John Carpenter and Halloween, and I just was talking about this. Like there were elements of that movie that were put into John Carpenter's Halloween, especially point of view shot going up the stairs, about to kill somebody and all that. I mean, there's a monster there. There's a monster in Forbidden Planet, and I'll be honest, if Forbidden Planet didn't exist, Star Trek the original series would be totally different.
Very true.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So what are you fighting? The monster of the id.
Yes.
What does that mean? The monster of the id.
The monster of the id. So the mad scientist in that movie. So any episode that features, like, you go to a planet, you meet this scientist who has uncovered this ancient civilization, finds their technology, and has used it. So,
sounds like what little girls are made of.
Well, the Spock's Brain episode borrows the teacher from Spock's Brain borrows the Krell machine device, where they put something on they put this little device on their foreheads or something, mm-hmm. and their intelligence level goes through the roof, but it's temporary. Same with Spock's Brain. The episode What Are Little Girls Made Of? The Robert Bloch episode. Dr. Corby finds the remains of a civilization, and he ends up becoming a mad scientist. So in this case of Dr. Morbius, who is the scientist in Forbidden Planet, played by Walter Pidgeon, he found this device and he used this device on himself, and this device, just like, I forget exactly what happened, but he ultimately, his id, because of his insecurities, kind of became like, whenever he goes to sleep, they come to life and then they kill. So when the Adams and the crew come to the planet, he gets very insecure, and then he dreams of himself as this monster, and that they starts murdering people. And it's not what's messed up. It's not his fault.
Yeah, the thing
Oh, wow.
that's one of the few. I mean, there's very few. Everybody knows Leslie Nielsen is a comedian from like the Airplane franchise, and he's always doing goofy stuff. This is one of the few serious roles that he did.
And you
Okay.
wanna
he
know
was the prototype captain.
when that movie was made, everybody said the same thing. You had to watch yourself out around Leslie Nielsen because he kept dropping whoopee cushions on people.
I can believe it. That's his character. I can believe it.
I can believe that too.
So
On a sad note, I don't know if you guys had heard. I found out during the EBN stream. Matthew Perry just passed away.
Yeah,
From
Yeah,
Friends.
we heard about that. Yeah,
we did
54,
mention
I
that.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came in 19 minutes late, so I don't know if you
That's-
guys caught it or not.
Hey, that's all right.
it was on Twitter. I saw like other people post. I was like, really? I was like, holy! First, I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was a drug overdose. Drug overdose. Excuse me. He drowned.
Yeah, he was. Well, he's in his book that he published a year ago. He talks about his drug and alcohol addiction. You know, like a lot of Hollywood actors. You know.
Yeah.
But he's been free and clear for years. Evidently, what had happened was while he was relaxing in his jacuzzi, he had a heart attack.
Oh shit!
Oh, shit.
Mhm.
They haven't officially released what the cause of death is, whether it's the drowning or the heart attack. You know, but if he had a heart attack while he was sitting in a jacuzzi, I could see him slipping in and drowning.
Yeah.
Easily.
Mm-hmm. It's insane.
The only thing I pray is that it was hard enough one way or the other. That he never
Yeah.
do it.
Hopefully he didn't suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really way back. What's his name? Had a song about the gambler.
Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers. The best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, quietly, peacefully, nothing. Just suddenly you're dead.
Yeah.
My father-in-law died that way in his sleep. And my mother-in-law said that she felt a disturbance next to her. She turned around and looked, and he gave a jump. And that was it. He was gone. Now, I'm a combat vet. I've seen a lot of people die.
Yes.
That death tremor that goes through an animal when you shoot it also goes through people.
Yes.
I believe it.
So, and a lot of people say that that's when the soul is being ripped from the body. I ain't going to argue, baby. Believe me. The stuff I've seen, there's
Yeah,
no doubt
it's-
for me that there's somebody upstairs calling the shots.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I put that in the EBN chat because people were asking, you know, well, he was so young to die of a heart attack. And it's like one of the guys from my SEAL team passed away at 29 years old.
You were in
From a
SEAL?
heart attack. Yes, sir. At 29 years old, he passed away of a heart attack. And he'd never done, matter of fact, I smacked a doctor because he had his first heart attack while he was in, and he was in the hospital, and I went up to visit him, and the doctor pulled me off to the side and started grilling me, you know, trying to figure out what was wrong with him. You know, what kind of drugs does he take? He doesn't take drugs. He's in the Navy. And this guy looks at me and goes, well, a man of 26 years old just doesn't have a heart attack. He has to be doing something. And I smacked that doctor square in the mouth.
Damn right.
wow.
I'm sorry. You know, you could have a heart condition you didn't know about. Anything could happen. But he finally passed away at 29 years old. And this is a weird story. Because we bonded. The minute we met, we bonded.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked a lot alike. Matter of fact, give me a second. Let me see if this works. Yeah, you can see me.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is what Randy looked like. And it was weird because as much as Randy, I have a brother. Well, we both had brothers. I have, of course, the dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was a bright redhead.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Randy and I both had dark hair. Both of our brothers were bright redheads.
Wow.
That is
Scandinavian influence.
But what was sad was when I got the call that Randy had passed. It was my off day from work, and my captain called me because I was working for a state law enforcement agency. My captain called me and said, we got a call from your brother. He's trying to get a hold of you, but he doesn't have your number. And my first thought was, my biological brother has my phone number. Why is he trying to get a hold of me at work? And I'm racking my brain trying to figure this out. And my captain goes, well, do you want the number? And I said, yes. As soon as he gave me the area code, I hung up the phone on my captain and I called Scott, which was Randy's brother. And the only thing that came out of my mouth, I knew it happened. I knew when it happened because I had this uneasy feeling. He actually passed away November 1st of 1993. On October 31st, I was taking my son trick-or-treating, and I just had this uneasy feeling all night. So when he gave me that area code and I hung up on him and I called Scott, as soon as Scott answered the phone, the only thing that came out of my mouth was, when did it happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And percent on knowing that happened.
That's how close that's how close all of us were in that team.
You betcha.
Let
me explain my background.
Go ahead.
I was 5th Special Forces A team.
Okay.
We were tight.
Yes, and thank you for your service. It kind of really to a point. Things like that. I mean, I appreciate you, and I can appreciate you, and I can appreciate anyone who has served. But one thing that gets to me and kind of bothers me on some level is when other veterans thank me for my service.
Yeah, that rattles you, doesn't it?
It's like, why are you thanking me? You did the same thing. We're equal.
Yeah. There's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
now 5th Special Forces.
Here's one of mine.
5th Special Forces, the patch is black. The slash through there is NOM.
Right.
You wear it that way if you were there.
See, I was too young for NOM, but Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom were mine.
I'll be honest. Jungles and swamps compared to desert, I don't know which I'd take.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in both.
Well, getting back to, I went to work the next day, and I looked at my captain, and I said, this is when the funeral's going to be, and I'm going whether you approve my leave time or not.
You got it.
And the man looked at me and says, I've already filled it out. You're going.
Mm-hmm. You're a smart man.
Well, we lived about 3 hours apart because he actually got out on a medical discharge because of his heart attack.
Oh, really?
Yes. He was out before I was, but I was actually I was still in the reserves at this time. So I drove the three hours to where, to his location, and I brought my uniform with me. And just, I stopped at a gas station outside where the funeral home was, and I changed into my uniform to show up in uniform.
Yes.
And I walked through the door, and all I heard was screaming, and 3 of the females fainted. That's how much Randy and I looked alike.
Oh, yeah.
And Scott, came up to me and we were talking, and he was glad that I made it. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to miss this. And he told the funeral director that this man is going to be a pallbearer. And the funeral director said, we can't do that. We've already got this established. And Scott looked at him and said, no, you don't understand. This man is going to be a pallbearer, or we're going to bury you next.
Yeah.
And there was another friend of his who was in the Air Force, was also in a uniform, walked up to me and said, I know exactly who you are. Randy's talked about you. I am a current pallbearer, and I will step down so you can take my place.
Real quick, I do want to jump in. Nerdporial, I know you got to go. You got a movie to catch. Is there anything that you want to say on the topic of scary Trek?
No, I mean, just some of the episodes are okay. Some of the episodes are not so good. The episode Empok Nor of DS9 is probably one of the spookier ones of that era. Definitely,
yes.
It's the end of season 5. Let's just say there's a Cardassian device that causes Cardassians to
lose their minds. But Black Dragon, Old Man, Paul, I'm the only civilian in this in this panel, so I thank all you gentlemen for your service. And
thank you, man.
Stay Nerdporial.
Absolutely.
You have a good one.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, yeah. And Empok Nor is, the Deep Space Nine was actually originally called Terok Nor.
Right.
And it is a Cardassian-built station. Well, that's all their stations are built that way. And Empok Nor was another station that was abandoned. It was kind of a secret facility where they did experiments.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the premise of Terok Nor has parts breaking down. And they can't get replacement parts, and Federation equipment won't fit. But they know of Empok Nor since it's abandoned. So Chief O'Brien and a crew go to Empok Nor to get the parts they need, and end up waking up some of their experiments.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
I'm going to be looking forward to that when I get there.
Well, see, Garak goes with them. And Garak is also affected by this because evidently it's airborne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is a really.
I've already seen Garak go violent, so.
Not like this, you haven't. It is literally. There's another one in The Next Generation. And I'm bad with the titles. I can explain the premise behind the shows, but I can never remember the titles. Huh?
Is it Night Terrors by chance?
No, not Night Terrors. Night Terrors was with Deanna Troi. This one involves Riker.
Oh, I know what it is.
And Riker is doing yes. That one's spooky.
It is. Because it gets to the point where he legitimately cannot tell what
reality from fantasy. Yes, yeah.
Here's another one that kind of strikes me, at least this particular scene, as scary. Just YouTube fair use, but just watch this for a second.
Oh, he was a great actor.
Watch his face.
Yes.
Isn't that just heart-wrenching right there?
Yes, that's the one with the Doomsday Machine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, he passed away.
He did.
He was a tremendous actor.
Just watching that pure
terror
and trauma at seeing the planet that had his crew members get destroyed by the Doomsday Machine.
Yeah.
And how there's no music in the back. It's literally just him freaking out like that and then recounting his tale. Or again,
it's those non-verbal things like that that make it scary. There's an episode of Dick Van Dyke, the old Dick Van Dyke Show, where his wife, Mary Tyler Moore, is opening his mail. And they have a little tiff about it, you know, for Dick Van Dyke back then. They had a little bit of an argument over her opening his mail. Right. Well, Dick Van Dyke goes into work and they make a show based on her opening his mail, one of their comedy skits. And in the comedy skit, she opens an inflatable raft, being nosy. And Dick Van Dyke got the idea because he had ordered an inflatable raft. And at the end of the episode, the raft is delivered. And of course, Laura opens it. But it's the neighbors with that soundless laugh to where you have no air, but you're laughing. And when you watch this, every time you see these two on screen with their, you know, noiseless laugh, you sit here and roll. You're crying so hard from laughing, just over watching their expressions. That's the sign of a good actor.
Yeah. Or again,
you know, just like Top Gun Maverick. Have you seen that one, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Miles Teller. Throughout that entire movie, I kept calling him now I can't remember the actor's name. Yeah, I can't remember Anthony some. Why can't I remember the actor's name? No, Goose, his original Rio. But he had such the same mannerisms. Literally, I got done watching that movie and I had to look up to see if this guy was related. Because he did such a good job with his acting skill, recreating that same character archetype. And that's the sign of a good actor. That's somebody who takes their job seriously.
Absolutely.
Black Dragon, can I ask you a personal question? May hurt.
Go right ahead.
Have you been in a firefight?
Yes.
Did you stand out in the middle of the field blazing away, or the first thing that you do, dig a foxhole or behind something big and heavy?
Behind something big and heavy.
Damn right. That's what you do. In all these movies, what do the guys do? He stands out in the middle.
I know. I really hate a lot of these war movies, the way they portray what actually happens. But it is Hollywood. You have to make it entertaining. You can't make it realistic or people wouldn't watch it.
We Were Soldiers.
Yes. That was a damn good movie. Well, even have you seen a movie called A League of Their Own?
Is that the one about the women?
Yes, the baseball players.
Oh, hell yes, I saw that. I loved it.
Tell me you didn't cry when Betty got her letter. And I will call you a liar.
Anymore.
I will call you a liar.
I gotta watch this movie. It sounds like
it's what it is when World War II happened and all the men went over to fight. And of course, women were encouraged to go into the factories and get away from the housewife thing. They started a baseball league with women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this movie is based on. It stars Gina Davis and I can't remember the other actress's name. But they go through. No, it's Perry. It's something Perry. Give me a second. Lori Petty.
Oh.
Yeah, Lori Petty was the other actress. And they play sisters and they go to play for this baseball league. I mean, Madonna was in it. Rosie O'Donnell was in it. Gina Davis, Lori Petty, Tom Hanks.
Yeah. He gained weight to have that part.
Yeah, he did. And it basically the movie is basically the accumulation of this and how they kept it going, and eventually the women ended up in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and their story for that. It is really a good story, but there's a scene in there where one of the women, and I cheered Tom Hanks when he did this, because back then it was the postal service that delivered these letters, these telegrams. And this guy walks into the locker room with a stack of these telegrams and is being, what's the word I'm being? Just being an idiot. Because he's sitting here going, well, I can't find it on the clipboard. I can't deliver this. And Tom Hanks walks up to him and goes, just give me the damn letter. I can't. I have to. And he literally snatches the letter out of the hand and shoves the guy out the door.
Wow.
And then he opens up the letter and he walks towards the women. Now, Gina Davis is sitting next to this person who I don't remember the actress's name. The character's name was Betty. Mm-hmm. But Gina Davis is sitting next to Betty. So as Tom Hanks is walking towards them, you can see this look of horror on Gina Davis's face because her husband is over there.
Yep.
And he he's bringing the letter down, and you see it. You can see the actual horror on this woman's face.
Yep.
And he hands the letter and says, I'm sorry, Betty. And she loses it. Which you can't blame her. It's a letter saying your husband is dead.
Of course.
It is a really well-made movie. And it's also very uplifting and very heartwarming. Matter of fact, I just watched it about 4 days ago.
Okay.
I rewatched it because there's a group of movies such as there's one called Lifted, Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, that are very well made, well done movies that I'll rewatch.
Okay.
Especially with the crap coming out of Hollywood now.
Well, of course.
So, the Black Dragon, I'll tell you something else. No, I didn't cry. I don't cry for a lot of that anymore. None of it. I give comfort, solace, trying to give them something to go on with.
True.
I don't cry. I do that inside.
Very true.
Absolutely. So back with Star Trek.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We talked, of course, about Commodore Decker in Doomsday Machine, but another moment that just really strikes me as a character doing great acting, both facially and emotionally, and how his voice tone. Dagger of the Mind, Dr. Simon Van Gelder, as he is laying there on the medbay table, and he's fighting with his own mind to get them the information that he wants, and he is literally convulsing, his face contorting every single which way that it can as he's in pain, trying to communicate to Spock and McCoy what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the very concept of having not just your mind's thoughts replaced with someone else's thoughts, but what ultimately happens to Dr. Adams, where your mind is literally drained empty. That's scary right there to me.
Yeah, and you don't think about it when you watch it, actually.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of those ones that I just randomly decided to watch, and I thought about it, and it's like, you know what? Everyone talks about Cat's Paw and The Children Shall Lead as the scary episodes of the original series. Why is Dagger of the Mind not in that conversation?
And it should be. It's a concept that a lot of people don't think about unless you live or have dealt with somebody with Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when I first moved down to this area, we took care of my wife's aunt who had Alzheimer's. Nice lady. And would recant you with stories that, you know, from 30 years ago that were interesting. The only problem is you hear it so much because people with Alzheimer's can remember the past as clear as it happened yesterday, but they can't remember what happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Or here's a
real everyday horror.
Mm-hmm.
Go through a hospital where somebody's brain dead.
Yes. I was on a fire department for 5 years. I was a certified EMT. So, yeah.
So another good episode of Trek that you could possibly go with and classify as scary, Devil in the Dark, where they're going after the Horda.
Right.
And, you know, the monster stalking you through these dark tunnels.
Yes. I love that one.
That could be considered horror, but I don't see it so much as horror as survival.
Yeah. Maybe calling it horror is a bit of a stretch, but but the idea of a monster chasing you through dark tunnels is still scary.
Well, yes. When you think of monsters chasing you, you think of Friday the 13th or Halloween or, you know, Michael Myers and Jason. Those are monsters that chase you in the dark.
And I think of a 45.
Yes.
Ooh.
The devil in the dark was a mother protecting her young.
Right.
And you pretty much, if I'm not trying to say people are brain dead, but we've got a lot of them nowadays.
Oh, damn right.
If you have half a brain, by the time Kirk gets to the planet and sees what's going on, you can pretty much determine the storyline of this isn't actually a monster.
Right. And if you certainly can't tell by the time they get to the planet, you can definitely tell, especially on rewatches, when Spock is looking at the silicon nodule ball thing on the desk. Like, almost like he immediately knew this is
an egg. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, if you've got half a brain, and that's the thing that I love that Hollywood has gotten away from so badly, is they are part of the reason a lot of people now today, the younger generation are, as I say it jokingly, brain dead.
Yes.
Okay, is partially because of Hollywood. Hollywood can tell you a suspense story that you have to figure out. You have to use your brain. What they're coming out with now is they tell you every little detail up front to where it's no longer a mystery. You don't have to think. That and cell phones.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
If I can put in here something kind of off the subject. And that was, they did 3 movies called The Librarian.
Have not seen them.
Never heard of it.
The last 2 were directed by, shall we say, some first officer from Star Trek.
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes.
Okay.
They had cameos in both of them. Only one of them was really hysterical in the second movie. But the third one, he showed off his ability to play the horn twice.
Okay.
And you have to look for it. But there was in there a kind of mild horror and yet excitement all the way through. And the first one was In Search of the Spear, putting together the Spear of Destiny. The other one was, crap, I can't think. But the last one was the Chalice. The Chalice of a certain individual who was not well liked in biblical terms.
Right.
In the Church of Christ. The Judas Chalice. And it involved quite a few actors and what have you. But there was, for a TV show, that one had some really unbelievable, I think, cinematic horror. And
Okay.
it was great. I love that series. I recommend it to anybody that is really curious about something that leads from one to the other.
Okay.
And it's enjoyable. I've seen them several times, and I loved it. The Chalice is one that, oh yeah, it gets pretty freaky and weird and scary.
Kind of sounds like an old TV show called Poltergeist: The Legacy.
Never heard of it. No, never heard of that at all.
TV show wasn't bad. The first movie was good. The anything after that kind of went downhill. But the series was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the problem. They did the Librarian with 3 movies. Then they came out with a TV series.
And sometimes that happens too.
Yeah.
Another decent one was the Dresden Files.
Yes.
And we're overloading Paul because he hasn't seen any of these.
hey, that's fine. You may have to. I will watch these. You just might have to remind me somewhere down the road.
Well, the big problem here is, and I may as well fess up on it, some things I don't remember quite correctly anymore. I've had stroke.
And that happens.
Yeah. It's one of those where, oh, fudge, what happened? But it does.
So with that,
I had one in California while I was being Santa Claus. I had another one driving to work to be Santa Claus at Macy's. And I'm going, oh, ain't this fun? But the first one, no. I mean, when you wake up with your head in the toilet. Yeah.
Been there a few times.
I was behind the wheel and I knew it was happening. And I got off the road. So, being an intelligent and rational individual, oh no. Guess what? Those manly hormones had to run. And the strength and stupidity of being a Norwegian, I drove home.
Mm-hmm.
My wife had to come and get me and take me to the emergency room.
Wow.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, I've done some really dumb things, believe me.
Well, Paul and I have done dumb things too. I mean, what does Navy stand for? Never again volunteer yourself.
Exactly. So, again, turning it back to Trek, we talked about great moments that kind of skew more horror or more unsettling. But what about the ones that no one seems to like? For example, And the Children Shall Lead, or in TNG, Genesis. Why do those fail where other times that Trek goes more scary or more unsettling? When those succeed, why do episodes like Genesis and the Children Shall Lead not succeed?
Remind me the plot line of Genesis.
That's the one where everyone is slowly de-evolving.
Turn. Okay, yes, okay. Like I said, I'm bad with names, but I can remember the storylines. Mm-hmm. That's the one where Barclay turns into a spider.
Yes, and Worf turns into that Klingon monster thing.
Right. I don't know. I thought that episode wasn't too bad, given the premise. I don't think it was designed as scary, which may be what some people were looking for. Because it wasn't. How do I word this? It's
more everyone wanted to know why and how to prevent it.
Yeah, and it just didn't give you those answers.
Yeah, I remember when I first watched specifically Genesis, that one, it was never, you never like saw the impetus for the change, or maybe you did, but or like me, I wasn't paying attention and didn't recognize it as the change, where Barclay gets sick and gets a shot, and yet somehow that releases some sort of airborne virus, for lack of a better word, that starts making people de-evolve.
Yeah,
they could have explained that far better.
Yeah, that was just a weird premise to. I don't know. It goes back to the story writing, and like I said, with Hollywood nowadays, you get them to explain everything in great detail to the point you're sick of hearing it.
Right.
But then there are some times when it goes the opposite way, to where they don't explain it enough for you to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find that happy medium, and that's where good writers come in. And for the most part, when you look at like Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica, I'm talking more the remake than the original, and the Star Trek franchise, they had some decent writers. They really did. But and I still say Deep Space Nine is the best of the franchise, because it delves more into the human spirit of it, and the characters themselves are more flawed.
Right.
When you get into the original series, yeah, they had their flaws, but it was still utopian. You get into the Next Generation, it was, you have your problems, but there are no problems. You get to Deep Space Nine, and it's, yeah, we've got problems. We've got personality conflicts that are open, and it's more of a relatable show.
Yeah.
There's one episode of the new Star Trek stuff, and I can't remember the whole thing. I just remember one segment of it. It had me actually laughing, but in reality, and it had to have been some kind of a horror, where Data was walking down the hall, and the door opened up, and
I know that one. That's the one where he starts learning how to have nightmares, and it's the one where Deanna Troi is a cake, right?
No, the door opens.
It wasn't.
She looks at her and says, she looks at him and says, "Dada, does everything work?" Yes. She grabs him and pulls him inside.
Oh, he's talking Tasha Yar, season 1. That episode is actually related to an original series episode.
Yep. Let's call it what it is. It's an outright ripoff, but I still love it.
It is and it isn't. It's a nice callback, because they had to bring up the original Enterprise files to find the cure.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice callback to how things used to be.
Another thing, and I mean, forgive me for this, but okay, they came back and said, "Here's Star Trek the movie," and at the end, they have the meetings of all this stuff, the big explosive works and all of that, as they're joining together. I'm going, what a hell of an orgasm. I mean, I never expected they would drop that low in really what was purely a sexual thing.
Yeah.
But they did.
So another example, as I already mentioned, of when Trek goes scary and it fails, at least for me, is "And the Children Shall Lead." Now, when I first saw that episode, that one didn't scare me so much as it kind of offended me, because basically the premise of that one is, of course, you have these kids on this planet, they're being influenced by this
a fat man.
Yeah, an evil alien. But at the time, I interpreted that as an outright evil spirit, and that really bothered me at the time. Now I know that that's not what that was. It's an alien, but even still, it just... Okay, there are some definitely scary things in that one. For example, Uhura looking into the mirror next to her station and seeing a really, really old, decrepit version of herself dying. But at the same time, why would Sulu be scared of swords pointing inward? I hit my mic. Why would he be scared of swords pointing inward at the Enterprise?
Because what did Sulu do?
Yes, Sulu actually thought the ship was his. Kirk may have been the captain, but it was Sulu's ship.
Well, they were both wrong, because we all know it's Scotty's ship.
Well, then that's true. But that's how they looked at it. You know, the captain, it's the captain's ship, but the guy who actually runs it, it's his ship. And the guy who actually fixes it, it's his ship. They all have that same mentality. So that would explain why Sulu got scared over that. It was his ship that was being threatened. Because according to the lore, according to the canon, you know, Sulu was one of the best helmsmen in the fleet.
Right.
And if you've ever read any of the extended universe books, they talk about some of the amazing things that Sulu could do at the helm.
Right.
You know, he could make the Enterprise stand on end, according to some of those books.
And I believe that.
Now, one of the best books that I ever read, I'm not going to say that. One of the books that I personally enjoyed the most out of that series was one called Blackfire by Sonny Cooper.
Okay.
Where Spock is... Something happens to where Spock is discharged from Starfleet because they said he did something wrong. And he runs into a Romulan who looks just like him. And the two of them go off and do like mercenary type things, where Spock could be at one end of the universe and this guy'd be at the other end of the universe, and everybody thought it was instantaneous transformation because they look so much alike. And it's not one of the best books written. You know, I'm not going to say it's top tier of the Star Trek extended universe, but it's one that I enjoyed the most.
Of course. Yeah, there's one audiobook that I remember listening to from The Next Generation, Q Squared, and it brings back Trelane from the original series.
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
It's really good. And it shows 3 different universes of 3 different versions of the Enterprise D. The one that we know, the one from yesterday's Enterprise, and a third one that shows Jack Crusher as captain of the Enterprise with Picard as his second in command, who is cheating on Jack Crusher with, quote, Dr. Beverly Howard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Trelane basically breaks the Q continuum entirely and causes these 3 universes to meld together.
Kind of like the very last episode of The Next Generation.
Except even more bat crap crazy.
Right. I got that. Well, supposedly Trelane was a Q.
Yeah. I think they didn't say it in the original series, but they
didn't.
This
it was later on where you kind of piece that together.
Right.
He was a naughty little child.
Yes, that he was. Well, so was John Delancey when he played Q.
Exactly. Oh, here's another one. Back to things that maybe aren't explicitly horror, but could be considered scary. V'ger. The approach of V'ger and the way that they went into V'ger and seeing all of the, the cloud colors and, of course, the huge mass that was the V'ger ship leading up to the satellites, where it's nothing but 10 minutes of them staring at the view screen at these weird visuals. That could be considered pretty creepy.
It could be. The original movie that came out in '79 is definitely not one of my. It is too slow paced for my taste, and a lot of people felt that way. They jumped on it primarily because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars hit the sci-fi. They came out with Star Trek: The Motion Picture in '79. Battlestar Galactica hit theaters, not TV show, theaters in 1980. Buck Rogers in the 25th Century was a movie that came out in the 80s. And at Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers, they turned into series because sci-fi was becoming so popular at that time.
And then, of course, Wrath of Khan, things
now,
like
Wrath of Khan got more realistic, went back more towards the original series premise, whereas the motion picture was just, let's throw a lot of money into this and make a lot of neat effects that people are going to oogle about, but the storyline was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it looked fantastic if you were on something. Like Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Still have not seen, by the way.
I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a lot of the same things that you saw in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. The bright lights, the flashiness, the psychedelic effects that you see in Star Trek: The Motion Picture is what you're going to see in 2001. Now, 2001 is, termed one of the greatest sci-fi of all. I disagree. It was good. Wasn't all that. I like 2010 better.
Right.
And they actually came out with a third book that they never turned into a movie called 2061.
I don't know if you saw this one in the, but when Captain Kirk kicks a certain guy in the face, knocking him off, while going, "I'm sick and tired of you."
Yes.
How many people stood up and cheered in the theater?
That one I didn't see in theaters. I rented it on video when I was in the military.
I'll tell you, it was crazy. And there were people going, yeah.
Well, Kirk was always... That's one thing. Kirk was always a fighter, whereas Picard was not.
Picard was the diplomat.
Whereas Cisco was the mix of both. Yeah. And one of the best lines that I ever heard Cisco make was in the episode where he meets Q.
Yep.
And he punches Q in the face. You punched me. Picard never did that, and he looks down at him and goes, "I'm not Picard."
Oh, Adonymous just chimed in with a good one. He says, "What about Crusher's sexy ghost story? That was not scary. That's just silly."
Well, actually, I have that. That's the reward for the current event, is that candle.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen my character in Star Trek Online. All my characters, all my ground crew members have something to contribute. So I can call down the security force. I can use the Shard of Possibilities to make duplicate me's. We have Combat Targ. We have the android. We have the Klingon Targs. Now we've got the Candle too. So you've seen me call down like 20 different things that I can use on my ground crew. We've just added another one.
Next time I get on STO, you got to show me this. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up now, but I guess in closing, the point that I wanted to make is that Star Trek is not a horror property. It's not known for that.
No, it's not.
But when it does decide to go a little scarier, it's either very good or very bad, but always memorable.
This is true. That you cannot argue.
Yeah, like I said, Cat's Paw may be the cheesiest thing since quesadillas, but I love it still. Night Terrors, I think I rewatched it in preparation for the stream. I still think it's a good episode, despite the silly things of Deanna Troi flying through what looks like the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince movie logo.
No, that's true. That was kind of cheesy.
Yeah. And Genesis still sucks.
You know, the other part I got to put in is when you look at the early Star Trek, and particularly like Cat's Paw, remember when it was made and who was watching it.
Exactly.
This is true.
And also remember what was going on politically.
That was one thing that the original Trek was better at than any of the reiterations, is they tackled current events, but they did it in a way that you didn't, unless you thought about it. Like I said, they made you think. But if you watched the episode and had half a brain, you could see the connection to current events, which anything after the original series it doesn't do. It's all storytelling.
Right.
The original Star Trek was trying to make points. They were trying to. Yeah.
Two guys show up.
Right.
One had face half black on one side.
Right.
Other on the other. They destroyed each other's planets. It was down to the two of them. And they're arguing that why you hate him.
Exactly.
Well, half black on the left side, and he's half black on the right side.
See, and that's even still current this day.
Exactly.
You know, it's sad to see. You don't judge a person by the color of their skin. You judge it by their character. And too many people nowadays don't see that anymore.
I can tell you a real story. I was driving in a very bad neck of Minneapolis, North Minneapolis. I came down a side street, turned onto another side street, and my van died.
Ooh.
And I'm going, what the F is wrong? A van, I believe it was an old Chevy van, pulled up in front of me. The sliding door opened up, the two front doors opened up, and four black guys jumped out running towards me. What the hell am I supposed to think in that neighborhood? My hand was wrapped around a 45, ready for a gunfight, when the one guy said, "Could you open the hood?" Okay, I reached over, popped the hood, and these guys opened up the back end of it and had a tool chest back there, and they went to work on my vehicle. They got it fixed. It was running. They come by and they go, "There you go. Have a good day." All I goes, thank you, guys, thank you. Now you talk about a guy that judged the book by the wrong cover.
And that can happen.
I learned a long time ago, and I've got a lot of friends that are black. And I can call them by those horrible names that you ain't supposed to call them. Mm-hmm. And they laugh, and they got all kinds of horrible names the blacks call whites. They call me, and I laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it one time in public in a mall. You should have heard all the wackos yelling and screaming at us. And they both turned around and looked at him, "Stay the hell out of it. You ain't got nothing to do with this damn thing. It's between us. Go away.
I got into it with a guy on Facebook, and this was over the George Floyd thing. They were doing the marches in solidarity, which you have every right to do, and I support your ability to do that. In my area, unlike some areas where they were blocking traffic, these people were just walking up the side of the road with signs that support George Floyd, and okay, that's fine. You weren't disrupting anybody else with your protest, and that you have every right to do that, and I support you. But I made a comment on their Facebook post. Why does this have to be a black versus white thing? Why can't it just be a bad person did something bad to another person? Period. Why does skin color have to come into this? And I actually had one of these nitwits get on there and accuse me of being a racist, and get this, because I was in the military.
I am from the area where this all happened with George Floyd. I know a hell of a lot more than most people have ever been told.
I realize that, and a lot of that's starting to come out. Yeah. But it's still, a mistake was made. Do I think that Darren Chauvin killed him on purpose? No. Do I think he made some mistakes in the way he handled it? Yes. Should he be held accountable for his actions? Yes. Do I think he needs to serve life in prison for this? No.
Hell no. George Floyd was shot so full of drugs.
That's what they say. I have not seen the reports. I can only go over the stories, what's being covered by other YouTubers. But like I said, they blow so much out of proportion for clicks and views and political points that to me, it's ridiculous.
So what did the demonstrators go and do? They destroyed the very area that supports them.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you just put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger?
Yeah, increase the intelligence level of the American populace.
All of the people that suffer. I know people who lived right in that area who were extremely impacted.
Sorry to jump in here real quick, guys, but just a reminder, we are still live.
Yeah. So just remember, when you're doing stuff like this, whatever you do, who or what are you affecting other than what you're doing?
What a lot of these people don't realize is they hurt themselves more than they hurt anything else.
Well, a lot of stuff has been brought up in Star Trek and other movies about you do something, it's a waterfall.
Yes.
How many innocent people have you hurt by what you did?
It's the ripple effect. Drop a drop of water into an ocean and watch it expand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Paul, I want to ask you something. You said you were going to do it.
Yeah.
Now I want to know if you did it. What did you tell your fellow workers about Troglodyte?
Oh, my goodness. I was going to tell my cousin, who is my coworker, by the way. I was going to tell my cousin, but he wanted to talk about something else first, and we got so wrapped up in that conversation that I completely forgot.
You see, to me, Paul is now a troglodyte.
Which, for those that don't know, a troglodyte means a cave dweller, because I work at a caverns. So I will make sure to tell them on Monday when I see them again. I will remember.
You see what little nonsensical humor can do?
Exactly.
A demented old man comes up with something way the heck out of there and brings it forward and dumps it on you.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can go through life knowing you're a troglodyte.
Exactly. Well, with that, guys, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. So thank you, of course, to Old Man, Black Dragon, and Nerdporial for popping in and being part of this discussion. This was a very, very interesting discussion for sure. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. A little bit of housekeeping before we go. There will not be any Tuesday Night Trek next week because I will be getting to bed early because the following Wednesday I got to get up early because that's my birthday and myself.
Well, happy birthday.
Ooh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I'll be 29. So
Oh, shit.
on my birthday, me and my mom are going to be traveling up to Nazareth, Pennsylvania to once again visit the Martin Guitar Factory, my favorite guitar brand, which you can see right here.
Yeah.
See where these guys are made. And
That's going to be
have
for you.
Oh, yeah. I've been once before. It's amazing. And I wanted to go back again. So it's going to be fun. Maybe I'll take some pictures and show you guys at some point.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will talk to you guys later.